She was halfway through my laser tripwire grid coated in olive oil and dragging a yoga mat behind her like a sled when the prototype's targeting system chirped to life. I watched in stunned silence through the garage's internal monitor as Lorna, the president of our HSA, or as I've come to call it, the Home Surveillance Association, crawled past a crate clearly labeled, "Do not disturb unless you're tired of breathing." It was 2:03 in the morning. She was muttering something about unauthorized storage and impromptu property inspections, completely oblivious that she was a mere inch from triggering a non-lethal suppression net designed for cartel raids. That was the moment it hit me. This woman had absolutely no clue she'd just trespassed into the single most secure civilian garage in 3 counties, and it was about to introduce itself. Funny thing is, I moved here specifically to avoid this kind of nonsense. After nearly 2 decades building tactical systems for military units some branches of the government still won't acknowledge, I decided to retire quietly. I picked a modest little house at the edge of a quiet cul-de-sac in a suburban development filled with retired couples, yoga moms, and grill dads. It looked like the perfect place to blend in, lay low, and maybe fix up motorcycles or tinker with a side project in peace. To make sure no one got curious, I put up a privacy fence and installed blackout curtains. Turns out, if you try too hard not to draw attention, you become the most interesting mystery on the block, especially to someone like Lorna. She introduced herself the very first day with a clipboard, a forced smile, and a tape measure. I was still unloading boxes when she walked up and immediately started measuring the height of my mailbox. Said she was ensuring compliance with code. I told her I'd comply with any rule that didn't violate constitutional law. She didn't laugh. She glanced at my garage door's double-reinforced titanium with biometric access and frowned like she was staring into a moral abyss. "What's in there?" she asked. "Tools," I said. Not a lie, just incomplete. By the end of week 1, she'd already filed 3 complaints, one for a suspicious humming, which was the stabilizer coil running diagnostics, one for over-armored waste receptacles, aka bear-proof trash bins, and one for threatening landscaping, because I used gravel instead of mulch. Still, I played nice. Waved, didn't engage. Figured she'd get bored eventually. But curiosity is Lorna's full-time job, and I had just become her obsession. Things escalated when the HSA issued a new rule about mandatory garage inspections. According to her, it was to ensure neighborhood safety and prevent the use of unregistered machinery. It was clearly personal. I attended the meeting, leaned back in a folding chair, and asked, "What exactly are we inspecting for secret robot armies?" A few folks chuckled. Lorna did not. She locked eyes with me like I was Osama bin Welded. I told her flatly, "No one enters my garage but me. It's not just a hobby spacey, it's a certified lab, signed off by the city, and a few other acronyms you've never heard of." After that, I caught her lurking near the bushes by my driveway more than once. She once walked past my property pretending to text. Another time she lobbed a frisbee over my fence and asked if she could quickly retrieve it. I tossed it back with a smile. No need to thank me. She did not thank me. Which brings us back to tonight. I was asleep when my silent alarm tripped East Perimeter breach. Doggy door. One I hadn't sealed yet because I don't own a dog. My mistake. I grabbed the tablet and opened the live feed. There she was, wearing a headlamp, elbow deep in Crisco, sliding across my epoxy floor like some twisted combination of Mission Impossible and a rejected yoga video. The system scanned her heat signature, cross-referenced it against known threats, which now includes HOA board members, and prepped the net launcher. I had 90 seconds to shut it down before she became the world's angriest spring roll. I bolted into jeans, slipped through the emergency side door, and gave a voice command to freeze the system just in time. Too late to save her pride, though. She shrieked and scrambled behind my workbench. That's when she saw it. The rack of prototypes. The armor plates. The tools etched with serial numbers and designations most civilians wouldn't even recognize. She pointed at them, eyes wide. I knew it. You're building bombs. I stared at her. That's a smart wrench. It tightens bolts based on vibration analysis. Calm down. She wasn't listening. This is a violation of city ordinance. No one should have this kind of equipment unless they're with the government. I blinked. I was with the government. You just broke into a federally audited facility. She didn't like that. She tried to run, slipped, and coolant toppled over a tactical helmet which lit up and started scanning her face. I deactivated it before the flash beacon engaged. now covered in grease and tangled in comms wire. She shrieked about illegal weapons labs and citizen arrests. I calmly helped her up, walked her to the door, and gave her 10 seconds to leave before I reported her for felony trespassing. Something in my toner, maybe the faint whir of the drone spinning up in the corner, got through to her. She stormed off, leaving a trail of oil stains and high-pitched muttering. Most people worry about burglars or teenagers tipping trash cans. I had a bigger problem. Lorna had just trespassed into a space that, if mishandled, could land both of us on a federal watch list. She thought I was hiding something from the neighborhood. She didn't realize I was hiding the neighborhood from something far more dangerous, herself. Next morning, she stood in my driveway, arms crossed, sunglasses oversized and purely for dramatic effect. I was sipping coffee, expecting her. Even poured her a cup. "You assaulted me with machines," she said. I raised my mug. "Good morning, Lorna. Fancy some Crisco with your legal threats?" She huffed and left behind a faint glisten of synthetic oil. What she didn't know was that she'd triggered a Level 2 breach protocol. Her biometric data, voice pattern, and motion logs were now archived. If she sneezed on my property again, I'd get a warning. The real fun started that afternoon. 2 patrol officers knocked on my door, routine follow-up on a disturbance. I invited them in, offered coffee, and pulled up the footage. One laughed so hard he snorted. The other, trying to stay professional, mouthed, "Oh my God," when he saw Lorna skitter across the garage floor. I gave them the short version of my work, tactical systems consultant, government adjacent. They nodded and logged the whole thing as a non-incident with a warning for the complainant. Then they asked for a copy of the footage for training purposes. The next morning, the HSA posted an emergency meeting notice citing unconfirmed reports of military installations in residential garages. I went out of principle. The community clubhouse looked like a dental waiting room. Everyone wore name tags even though we've known each other for years. Lorna stood front and center beside a projector. Her only slide read, "Who is he?" In Comic Sans read Comic Sans. She launched into a tirade about neighborhood safety, government secrecy, and the unnatural quietness of my garage. I let her ramble for 5 minutes. Then I raised my hand. Let the record show, Lorna broke into my private property, got tangled in a legally certified anti-theft deterrent, and is now blaming me because she doesn't like how my garage door looks. A few chuckled. Someone whispered that Lorna needed a hobby. "This isn't about me," she snapped. "It's about safety. No civilian garage needs biometric locks or tripwires unless they're hiding something. Or preventing someone dangerous from snooping," I replied. That shut her up. The board ruled in my favor. As long as I wasn't violating any codes, which I wasn't, they had no authority over my garage. Lorna muttered about taking it to the city. Or the FBI. I considered mailing her a pocket constitution. 3 days of peace passed. That's 3 centuries in Lorna time. Then I found a suspicious ammo case in my trash. Wrong caliber. Not mine. Fresh fingerprint. Then came a canister labeled tactical lubricant in the recycling. Homemade label. Bright orange. I used ceramic coat, smells like mint. That evening, 2 HSA board members visited. Lorna had filed a complaint, said I was improperly disposing of dangerous materials. I showed them footage of her planting the items 2:11 am, gloves on, glitter glue fanny pack labeled HSA enforcement. They left embarrassed. I called an old contact, LT. Marcus Ramirez, now working on a civil-military integration project. When I told him, he laughed for a solid minute. Then he said, "Time for a visit." He and his team would stage a public safety demo, fully legal, city-approved, and timed for the next HSA meeting. They'd showcase tactical systems, including mine, under the banner of community preparedness. The goal? Embarrass Lorna without ever naming her. Meanwhile, she escalated. Flyers warning about the man with war machines, backyard QNAs, and a noise complaint about my stabilizer. City officer came, ran a check, said my garage was quieter than his fridge. She cried, actual tears, in front of everyone. "He's hiding something." I said nothing. Let her simmer. Then came the demo day. Folding chairs. Hot dogs. Ramirez and crew in plain clothes but carrying sleek gear. They demonstrated a self-locking vault door, a drone detection system which, to Lorna's horror, flagged her drone. Then came my bit. I activated a small bot no bigger than a Roomba. It waved and projected Neighborhood Watch 2.0. Applause. One faint scream from Lorna. Ramirez handed the board a report. My garage passed the highest civilian safety certification. That night, my system logged one final intrusion attempt. Lorna trying to scan her eye on the retinal scanner. It lit up with a custom message. Access denied. Please contact administrator. Or go home, Lorna. She didn't call the cops. She called a sketchy private security firm. 3 guys showed up in knockoff tactical gear. Flashlights. Dollar store badges. They asked to inspect the garage. I welcomed them in, handed them sodas, and showed them footage of their approach. 10 minutes later, they left laughing and refunded Lorna. 2 nights later, another HSA meeting. I arrived early. Front row. Lorna marched in, clutching a worn manila folder. She accused me of hosting military weapons. Showed grainy photos. One was upside down. I laid out city permits, federal waivers, even a high-res photo from my drone showing her scaling her fence with a camera. Then Ramirez walked in. Full government ID. Behind him, 2 city officials. My name is LT. Ramirez, he said. We recently completed a safety review of Mr. Ryder's lab. His systems are not only compliant, theory exemplary. He added, illegal surveillance originating from this community triggered our review. He didn't name her. He didn't need to. Lorna sat down, speechless. Later, she filed a small claims suit. Emotional distress. Claimed my garage keypad saying, "Go home, Lorna," was harassment. In court, the judge reviewed everything: permits, footage, drone logs, and dismissed the case. As we left, Ramirez texted me, "Checkmate." Weeks passed. Peace returned. Kids rode bikes. Neighbors waved. The garage became a local attraction. I ran safety workshops. The HSA even named me an honorary safety coordinator, an unofficial stationary, but still. Lorna? She moved. Sold the house to a young couple who brought cookies instead of clipboards. I stood in my driveway one evening, watching the sun dip low, a prototype humming softly behind me. Lorna had walked into my world thinking she could expose some monster. Instead, she awakened one built not from rage, but precision. She brought chaos. I answered with calm. And in the end, the garage won.